The question refers to figure 6.1, which depicts a biological molecule, and it is linked to chapter 4, which we will explore later. Now, looking at this image, we recognize the structure of DNA. The question tells us that DNA is present in both animal and bacterial cells, which we've already covered in this chapter. So, we know that DNA is found in both types of cells. The key here is to describe the location and shape of DNA in each of these cells. Specifically, we need to explain how DNA differs in terms of where it's located and its shape in animal cells compared to bacterial cells. For the location, we will write, in animal cells, DNA is located inside the nucleus, enclosed by the nuclear membrane. Whereas, in bacterial cells, DNA is found in the cytoplasm, floating freely without a nucleus. And, talking about their shapes, in animal cells, DNA is a linear, strand-like structure. Whereas, in bacterial cells, DNA is in a circular form. And that's the main difference between the location and shape of DNA in animal and bacterial cells. Let's move on to another question from the same year but another variant. It's common for exam papers to feature multiple questions from the same chapter, often linked to another chapter. In this question, we are provided with a table to test our knowledge of bacterial cells. We need to identify the structures and functions of unknown parts of the bacterial cell in order to complete the table. The first part mentions ribosomes, and we know that their function is protein synthesis. Next, the function of small, circular DNA that carries genes is given, and the structure associated with this is plasmids. The following function mentioned is controlling the passage of substances into and out of the cell, which corresponds to the cell membrane. Finally, the question asks about the function of the cell wall. We can state that the cell wall provides support, maintains the cell's shape, and ensures turgidity. In the next part, we are shown a photograph of the bacterium responsible for cholera, and it has a structure which is labeled as Z. Our task is to identify the structure marked as Z. We know that it is the flagellum. Remember, flagellum is the singular form, and flagella is the plural form. Along with the image, we are also provided with the magnification of this image, which is 50,000 times. Let's first note the given information. The image size is provided as 100 mm, and the magnification is 50,000 times. So, the primary objective here is to find the actual size of the bacterium. To do this, we use the formula for magnification. Magnification equals image size divided by actual size. By rearranging this formula, we can solve for the actual size. Actual size equals image size divided by magnification. Now, we substitute the given values into the formula. Actual size equals 100 mm divided by 50,000. This calculation gives us an actual size of 0.002 mm. Next, we need to convert this value into micrometers. To do so, we multiply 0.002 mm by 1000, which gives us 2 micrometers. It's important to note that the unit of micrometers is already provided in the question, so we don't need to write it with the answer. However, if the unit had not been given, we would need to include it in the answer to avoid losing marks in the exam. Next, they are asking a related question about the same bacterial cell, specifically asking for the name of the structure labeled as Z. As we identified earlier, the structure is the flagellum. The function of the flagellum is to assist the bacterium in movement, as it serves as the locomotive organ of the bacterium. Next, they have provided us with a diagram of plant tissue, which is related to chapter 6. You don't need to worry about labeling parts such as J, K, and L, as these are included only for reference to the question. The main focus here is part B, which asks for the function of any one tissue found in the vascular bundle. Since this topic is related to plant tissues, which we have already discussed, we can apply our knowledge here. First, let's identify the tissues present in the vascular bundle. The vascular bundle includes the xylem and phloem. For this question, you can choose either one to write about. I will choose xylem, but writing about phloem will also earn you the same marks, provided you include all the correct points. Xylem tissue is present in the vascular bundles of a plant leaf. Its primary function is to transport water throughout the plant, which is essential for processes like transpiration. Xylem moves water and mineral ions from the soil through the roots and then transports them upwards to the rest of the plant. Now, in the context of Paper 1 questions, we have a question which asks about the characteristics of bacteria and requires us to select the correct option. We know that bacteria contain cytoplasm and DNA, but they lack a nuclear membrane because they don't have a nucleus. Starting with option A, we can eliminate it because it incorrectly states that bacteria do not have cytoplasm. Next, we rule out option D, as it also incorrectly suggests that bacteria don't have cytoplasm. This leaves us with options B and C. Now, let's evaluate the other details. Option C can be eliminated because it incorrectly claims that bacteria do not have DNA, and it also mentions the presence of a nuclear membrane, which is false. Therefore, the correct answer is option B, which correctly states that bacteria have cytoplasm and DNA, but no nuclear membrane due to the absence of a nucleus. The next question presents a diagram of a root hair cell and asks how the shape of this cell benefits the plant. It's important to focus specifically on the shape, rather than other functions of the root hair cells, as this is where students often get confused. While other answers may seem correct based on the root hair cell's functions, be careful and stay focused on the question. Remember, the extensions of the root hair cells serve to increase the surface area, allowing for greater water absorption. Therefore, options A, B, and C are incorrect, while option D is the correct answer, as it correctly highlights how the shape of the root hair cell enhances surface area for better water uptake. Here's another question related to cells. You need to identify which of the following cells contain both cytoplasm and cell walls. We can eliminate options A and B since they represent animal cells, which lack cell walls. Next, considering root hair cells and xylem vessels, we can discard option D because xylem vessels do not contain cytoplasm, they are hollow structures with lignified walls. Therefore, the correct answer is option C, as root hair cells have both cytoplasm and cell walls.